Welcome. This is Barry Jones from Angelic Wisdom, and we're here for our weekly angel reading for October 17th through the 23rd, 2022. And so, hello everyone. Just want to say thank you all for returning this week. And if you're new to this community, the Angelic Wisdom community, I'd like to thank you for being a part of this and join us, and hope that you enjoy the information from your angels that will come through today. And before we just get into other things, I just want to say also thank you to everyone who's been sending healing. It has been enormous, and it's I don't know how to express this, but it's just been enormous to feel the caring and the love. Um, I've had the best sleep of my life. So if you, whatever you're doing in the last month, wow, if you can always think of me at, at nighttime, boy, that'd be great. um, it's the best sleep I've ever had. It really is. And I know some people have sent Reiki, and one person in particular who indicated to me, Maureen, so really thank you for that, the healing that you've been sending. So this, in the next couple of weeks, just a little bit more of like what's going on with me. My apartment is going to be, repairs are going to be done in my apartment, from the landlord and took forever to get it. So I have to set it up for now, and so that's going to be doing, and then painting. So I don't know if any of you've ever been through this, but they want to do it all at once instead of doing like a job at a time. And so this is going to be very hectic for me. So I'm not quite sure when I'll just like return to my normal functions here for my channel. But I just ask that you'll be patient with me until this is done, and also send your prayers. It just makes me super uncomfortable. I'm sure it is. I'm probably thinking like it's abnormal, but I'm sure everybody else feels this way. But yeah, having people come in and hopefully do it well and not take forever to get it done, right? So just to let you know, those kinds of things will be going on. And so in the meantime, I will let you know when I will start the daily card readings, and when I'll start doing angel readings again as well. In the meantime, make sure that you subscribe and dislike, leave your comments, and you can always, purchase an angel reading with me. This is my 10th anniversary year, and so I've been doing this special offer for the first time, promotional offer, angel reading, which is my discounted hourly reading. And so it's unlimited this year. So if you wanted to do it, but you're not sure you're going to do it this year, but you wanted to get that in advance for next year, that is perfectly fine. My readings are not, don't have a limit on them in terms of time. So because I'm happy to be of service, and so I've never placed a limit on them. So just be aware of that. So you can get them now and then have it anytime you want. Also, yeah, and also if you'd like to just support my channel, I have a PayPal me link, and you can just donate whatever you want. And it's always it's not required, but it's always deeply appreciated. And so let's take a deep breath now. And just tune into the energy for this week. And just be aware. You can just, they want you to focus for a moment. When they show me a chair, this is always my symbol for reflection or introspection or time to meditate. And they write in this chair, which is interesting because usually it's like a wooden chair, but this is sort of more of a one-seater, but it's maybe sort of like a living room chair, modern sort of furniture, like a Joybird kind of single chair. But they wrote focus. So it's interesting because, of course, this is a little bit more comfortable, right? You can really relax into this chair. So, so I'm getting a sense about relaxing and focusing. So the idea, I feel like, as a message for the week, more than just in this moment, is to relax. Like, don't let things, get to you. Don't stress. Don't feel an urgency for anything. If and I did. I keep writing the word compound in front of my face. So it's a sense of that there could be situations, or that in our heads we can compound too many things, put too many things together at once, or try to do too many things at one time, or things might seem to be coming in from different directions. But they want you to relax and focus. So there's no sense of urgency, even though it might seem like it. So you're going to have to tell yourself that somehow, that, and usually, and this is advice you hear me give all the time because I dealt with it personally. And there's an angel number that's showing me 801. But I don't know how to explain that. It's the same example. But, this happens with me with like tasks. So like a to-do list, the ones that we put in our heads. Now, I've told you many times, or I've said it over years, you shouldn't use your brain to carry lists. I know that sounds stupid, but when you do that, your imagination, your ego, consciousness, when you do that, there are many voices that are trying to get our attention. And the one that the reason why we're here each week is because we're trying to hear the higher one. We're trying to hear the transcendent voice, the one of our higher self, right? Because all those voices in our head are always trying to get our attention. And the ones that are not of the light, for lack of a better word. I really hate using the light dark comparison, and one day I'm going to sit down and figure out how not to do that. But for now, and for the sake of time, they're trying to get in that top spot, and the only voice that matters is your higher self, and that's why we all are here. That's why you go to any of the other channels, is you're trying to hear your higher voice. But, I'm going to say something too. There's also a little personal thoughts. Like, I don't know, like recently, the social media and, advertising, and I don't even have regular TV. Like, I don't have a TV. I watch everything on the internet. And of course, they throw commercials in there. It's a little less overwhelming than owning a television, where it just seems like the TV is not really there for the entertainment that it was supposed to be. It's really there for advertisers. And that I'm going to harp on that whole thing about the consumerism thing, this is how we've been roped in. This is the matrix that we're plugged into and that we need to unplug from. But even now on Instagram and YouTube, and I, linked myself to a lot of different accounts on tarot, on spiritual stuff, because I wanted, to keep up and to be aware and be inspired, right? We all need that. And even recently, as I was just going through, like, you know, channels like mine, with that do readings like this, and all of a sudden you just feel like nobody's really trying to connect with that voice, that trying to they're so focused on the marketing, and they're so focused on grabbing your attention. um and I often feel like I'm such a failure at this, but honestly, I really don't care, and it probably comes across that I don't. And it's probably not a good thing that I don't. But I'm finding myself like, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't, like, I don't want to. I hope I don't come across like that. I don't want to be one of those voices. Um, and I don't mean to criticize. I mean, we're all trying to. I understand that we're all trying to honor something inside of us. It's calling us to do this, and then we're also trying to figure out how to survive doing this. And it's not easy. I've not made it so that I could depend on it in that way. But yeah, it's a little crazy, and all these voices, and we're trying to hear that voice, and that's why I think we're really here, is to hear that voice. So you've got to be aware that you can't put your mind under too much stress. And that's why it came to me through these readings. It didn't come to me on my own. It came to me through these readings, that when I was talking one time, that those to-do lists, we need to put them on paper, because we need to bring them into physical reality. When you do that, when you take things from the mind and you put it on paper, what you do is then things get a little bit more real. They either become more frighteningly real, or you realize that, what am I doing to myself? And sometimes it takes a long time to say that this is impossible. It may take people a lot of time to realize that they're treating themselves like they're a superhero, and you're just a human being with a spiritual body, with a spirit that is very powerful. But this harmonization or alignment of the physical three-dimensional reality is a very difficult one, because we don't remember who we are. And then we're leaving things in this mind realm, where voices speak in different volumes, but it's a cacophony of things going on in there, and they can mix together, and then you end up thinking like it's something bigger than it is, when it's really just simple. So don't use your mind to contain these lists just because you're smart enough to do it, because you need to be smart enough to see that you're overscheduling yourself, or you're expecting far too much from yourself, or that there's no urgency, that you need to have this thing, or that this needs to get done right now. Like, I will often have this list, and it's the stupid stuff, like groceries, my laundry, any of the mundane, like, little but we use them to push us, like, oh my God. And like, like, to push us, as if that voice from whenever we got it from, in our society, that tells us today, and especially it's starting very young, because our children are being forced, and especially in certain countries in the world, to be these geniuses, to be these dynamos who are training at 5 years old to be like, a genius, um, at a Ivy League college. And it's so unfair to that child's initial stages of development, their natural ability to play and enjoy life, to take nothing seriously, and to see the bliss and the pleasure, to have this sort of unlimited creativity, which they develop through play, through moving wherever they choose, with our sort of watching them from a distance, sort of helicoptering them. And so because we're grooming our young citizens this way, when we become older citizens, we push and we are creating, I'm just seeing the word compression, like we're creating this compression in ourselves, in our lives, in our energy. They're writing. We're so focused on a conquest. What's motivating this is conquest. Now look what conquests have done to the world. Look at all the wars. Look at throughout history. Oh, wow. Sorry about that. Okay, I have to apologize, but I can't edit because this is too important what was said. But yeah, look what has happened throughout history. All this conquering of different parts of the world, colonization, the Crusades. I mean, look what this has done, this ambition, this kind of ambition. And in today we think we're modernized and we're woke about it. But now we have still some of that going on, as we can see in the East. But the reason these things still exist is because we fight a war within ourselves to be something that has nothing to do with the purpose of that transcendent voice. We're feeding our ego's greed and obsessions, more accurately, the word I see in front of me. We are obsessing. And the thing about it is that media uses this instability to market to you. And it literally just escalates your obsessive compulsive behavior. I mean, who wants to hear this kind of stuff, right? But we have to be aware of it. And so this goes back to this relax but focus. This is what all of that meant. This is what it feels like they're saying to me, that you need to relax. I think not only in this week, but I think right in the times that we're in, because as much as it may not seem like it, and I know I've been going through a lot of stuff, but I am readily aware for some reason, oh my God, like we are getting, like what I feel like is happening right now is that we're really stepping into, this is like the strongest preparation we're getting for stepping into a fifth dimensional blueprint. And it's really about, if you notice, it's like it's been coming strong for a while. Like the media, like, I don't know if you've noticed, but everywhere you look, there's just lies. You see articles that somebody's making them up. They have the pictures, videos have to be deep fake. I mean, it's just made up. But nobody even cares that you could possibly see it, because there's a notable, let's say New York Times or something like this will have, this with other respected newspapers or journal media, they will all have the same information. But then these little other things, these little urchins that are just popping up all over the place, they have all this like outlandish lies that they print. So what is all this about is that the fifth dimension, the huge difference between the three-dimensional blueprint and the fifth, the honesty, transparency, integrity, clarity, truth. And so, wherever in your life something that you have believed about yourself or about the world, that has to be reconciled, has to be reckoned with right now before you can go into that fifth dimensional blueprint. So you are going to find that this kind of thing is going to be confronting. And it's about that voice over those others. You've always had the power to hear that voice, although it will not yell, because that would be stimulate fear. It would stimulate PDST. It's the voice of the ego and all the other voices around you that are ego based that is triggering stress or PTSD. So that's why you've heard the voice, the transcendent voice in your various private religions, like I know in Christianity, there's like, or hymns, the still small voice. Because how else could that voice lead you to peace or harmony or balance or love if it was a yelling voice, if it was a voice that incited panic within you? So if your voice, if you think that spirit is telling you, get the you gotta, if you don't do this, everything is gonna fall away, like that, they would never speak to you like that. They would never frighten you. Even in the Bible, first thing they say, the angels, when they appeared, fear not, or be not afraid. Bring you peace. So that's why you have to learn to relax and then focus on the transcendent voice. Get those things on paper, the list, because what they can do when they're left in there, those really unimportant things, and some of it's important, but it's still not urgent. If you put it on paper, you plan it out, you create a schedule for, like, I need to do this much on this project this week, or whatever, how you break it down, then you will follow that schedule on the paper and not be having that thing worrying you, weighing over you, because you haven't dealt with it yet. Because those little teeny things like this are a distraction from discerning that voice. That voice is not going to compete. That voice is not going to use marketing strategies. It's not going to beg you, but it's not going to shut you out if you don't act or do or respect it. I'm going to say that. You don't have to respect God. That's a bunch of bull. Because God, you can't disrespect someone who does not even perceive, or, and let's just say it for our human brain, on the spiritual brain, he doesn't perceive it in you. On a human level, he wouldn't even have a reaction if he even saw it. Why he doesn't entertain it in his thought? Because that means just the way that we entertain people disrespecting us, it affects us. It's like a disease, but it's a disease. And that is why God doesn't perceive it or entertain it, because he would take in that dis-ease. And think about it, like he's the main server. So if the main server becomes corrupt, then everything is corrupt. Which means everything would have to shut down. The universe would have to shut down, or at least consciousness, because it would be corrupt. So this is why God's purity never is tainted. And therefore, because you and I are connected to him, our perceptions of our impurities, our immoralities, etc., do not exist. They only exist because of our ego, because we feel guilty or shame, or we hold on to it because we do not forgive ourselves, because we do not restore ourselves to our truth, because we do not choose to remember who we are. Okay, let me stop preaching. Oh my God. So 801 is the number I saw earlier. It says your prayers and positive thoughts about your finances are keeping you in the flow of abundance. Okay, so relax, especially if this has to do with your finances. Relax, focus. Don't let your obsession about what you want overtake your common sense, is one example. Don't feel rushed to make financial decisions or to make purchases that if things aren't working, just wait. Focus on what it is you want. Focus, get clear with that transcendent voice about what is the purpose here. Because remember, everything that you bring into your life should be taking care of you, not you taking care of it. And I mean by that, financially. You don't want to get something that you really don't need. You don't want to get a huge house when you don't need a huge house, because what that means is that now you got to take care of that house. You're going to have a bigger salary to take care of that house. Get a house that can take care of you, that can make you feel loved and safe and secure, that you can manage. And then make sure that whatever you put in there is manageable within that space. Again, so relax and focus on what your body needs in order to thrive in this life. Not just survive, but thrive. So upgrade it, because people might interpret and say, well, only do what I need to survive. No, to thrive. But the body doesn't need a lot. But there are very important things to the body that it needs. Ask your body, think about that. What does the human part of me really need? Okay. So we have Archangel Sandalphon, and he's always about tuning into your divine potential. So this is, coming into balance, finding harmony with your life, finding harmony within all things. So if things are feeling, he's also the archangel who takes our prayers up to source, to God. So if you're finding that things, first of all, in your prayer, pray for harmony, pray for clarity, pray for alignment, pray for you to know it. Pray for you to find that alignment with that transcendent voice, the higher self. Live from that perspective, from that clarity. So if things seem to be compounding you, then walk some of that stuff back until you find that sweet spot of balance, of purity, of harmony. I mean, whenever we're overwhelmed, it means we need to walk it back. We've taken on too much. Plain and simple. I could stop right there and say, let's go home. But it's always easier said than done, I know. But you know what? Some things need to be that way. It needs to just be easier said, and then you just let it go and do and follow that. Don't try to keep manipulating, trying to figure it out, because the obsession is causing you to keep trying to figure out how to get this thing. Because the way you are trying to get it is you don't need it that way. There's something you need. When you walk it back, you'll find that, oh, here it is. That's really what I need. Now you found alignment with that voice. But as long as something's getting more complicated and you're getting more anxious and you're getting more, like if you feel like an addict, like if I don't get this, oh my God, I'm gonna, right? Then that means that you need to walk yourself back. Walk yourself back to sanity. And sanity really is when you're in alignment with your truth, your purpose in this moment. And actually, they're saying this is respect. I don't know why they're writing that in front of me, but they're saying this is respect. And they wrote the word compassion as well. Compassion is being truthful with yourself. Respect is being truthful with yourself. This is why we find that people are pushing our boundaries, because we push ourselves past our boundaries. In purchases, we need to walk it back to that sweet spot where where peace is restored. And that's where your need is. Not beyond it or not below it. Right there. Oh man. I'm sorry. I'm just like I'm just preaching, and I go through this, right? So it's like it's I am not I'm not a high mighty person. I may sound like it, but I go through all of this stuff. So 10 of Swords. And this is about a cycle. Like the tens are about the end of a cycle, but they're also about a renewal. Okay? And I think this is my favorite. I think I said that before. I can't remember exactly why, but there's something about this card that I love. It's like, well, you can see it right in here. See, what I like about this card is he's trying to take off. And that's what your mind, you're always in this fight with your mind. You're trying to take off on something, and then I don't know, it's just like I hear in my head, but you just keep doing it you keep doing it the wrong way over and over again. And so as you take off, boom, the swords hit, and it kind of like thwart you from getting off the ground. But you don't pay attention to how this keeps happening. You just keep doing it, and we get caught up in the the conquest. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. Why do I keep knocking this thing off my table? Okay, clearly I'm not going to put it back on the table. I don't know why I'm getting... Interesting. This has never happened in the years that I've done this. I think this is a really important thing for us to be aware of. It's like we feel the urgency. Like I've been feeling like to myself, there are changes. I have to make changes. There are certain changes that just has to happen. And it's not something we can ignore anymore. Because you deserve to fly. You deserve to soar. But we've been groomed. Now, I was talking to my brother and some other people about this week. Like, I was born in 71. Yeah. So, and I think we were the generation where the media and ads and things, it really took off, especially in the 80s, in the way that it has escalated to now. And just so many things, just the balance of our society, I think. And so we have to understand, like, even when they advertise to kids with the cereals and all that stuff, I mean, they talked about this, saw this a long time ago, like those bright colors on the cereal boxes, all that was targeting this compulsion, this kind of behavior within us it's always been, but I think it really reached its peak at this time. And so we're all conditioned to disrespect, meaning disregard our higher voice. And we can say whatever we want to say about the older generation, but they did not have this many, the kind of distractions that we had growing up, they did not have. And so it will seem as though they're very successful overall because they grew up in a time where the entertainment was really the family. And I'm not going to exaggerate this across the board. I'm generalizing right now just to get a point across to move on. But we have to understand that we were conditioned. So this is something, if we're trying to be spiritual, but let's not forget that we're not just trying to be spiritual, we're also trying to be spiritual human beings. So we're meant to integrate these two. But if the matrix of media and consumption is keeps pressing those buttons, we can't understand that voice. And so we've got to break the connection in order to soar. And you in your own life have your particular connection. And I just saw the word concession. It's like we're gonna have to finally sort of come to the have a come to Jesus moment. I'm sorry for some of you to, whatever expression that works for you, but you're gonna have that with yourself around your needs, because as long as our needs are out of balance with what our soul and physical body needs, then we will never find that harmony and balance in our life. We'll never be able to find that sweet spot of peace or happiness, of joy. No job, no matter how great, no matter how much money you make, no matter how little money you have or what you're lacking, nothing will ever make you feel fulfilled or satisfied, because it's the balance with your soul and your body. They have specific needs and they're not asking of a lot. They leave a lot of room for us to create what we want to bring in our reality. It's free will, and we have open access. It's still an unlimited world, but knowing how to bring beauty and harmony together, and to always have everything in your life that brings you harmony, that is when you will find that your manifestation abilities will have this flow, because it's the inner balance and harmony and peace within you. Now everything can flow to you, towards you, and flow away from you when you no longer need it, without such contention and challenge. Wow, here we have another card of endings here. So the death card. So this is yeah, I mean, like, I'm sorry about all the dropping for people who don't like sounds that are loud. And I don't know how it really happened. But there's a thing here of that the universe is really trying to get our attention, that we really, and I know you hear it because I hear it. And they wrote faith. This is not like the end of the world. This is the beginning of the world. These cards here are letting you know together that you are strongly ready for the new beginnings. And you may be feeling it like the ending part, but you don't lean so heavily into that ending, because that's another way, that's an escape. Because, yeah, you might say everybody wants to do the beginning. Yeah, but we try to escape the new beginnings all the time. That's what fear is. And these cards are saying you're not going to escape it. Your new beginnings are coming. And they write the word compose as if it's already been written. You've already orchestrated it for yourself. And so now you just need to work on this balancing act. What is this? The Nine of Swords. Okay. And so this is a card usually of worry, of anxiety, that, and an overactive imagination. So we need to be really aware of this overactive imagination. And this is why I'm saying get as many things out of that realm and on paper worked out in a very logical way. Since we have two swords here, you're approaching this week in terms of helping you to focus and first relax, focus. But the only way you're going to be able to clearly focus is to put it out in front of you. Clear the realm of your imagination, your mind, and plan things out within reason. You know what I mean? You can only but plan but so much, right? Don't obsess, but just to have a clear outline of, okay, I'm going to do this at this time. And so that way, and you put it in your calendar, and your calendar will give you a notification. That way you won't forget it. That way you don't have to worry about it until then, or all those other things until the time that they're appointed in your schedule. Then you can really forget them and let your smartware. See, that's how you let your smart devices serve you, not you serving them. They should be taking care of you. So why did you get those things if you're not going to use them? And we all know why, because we think we need too many things, and then we don't have enough time to work with any of them properly. It's the compulsive thing. So this will calm down this overactive imagination. And what this does is that it blocks. So when you just keep everything in your mind, it blocks you like a firewall from being able to see the new beginning. If your mind is cluttered with worry, then you can't focus on the harmony and the peace that the changes that you're going through are actually leading you towards. This is why we need to put it on paper so that we know that this needs to be done then and then and then in the near future. And then as you see what you're having to do, you'll start to understand what your purpose is. Because you're now moving forward in a sense. Everything that comes as ideas goes out in some kind of outline, and now you know where you're moving forward. I mean, I don't want to be like I want to say this in a general way, but this is almost like all those ideas that come into our head, and when we lay them out like this is almost like what we keep saying, what is my purpose? What do you want me to do, God? And then you get these ideas, and if you laid them out, you would see what you're supposed to be doing. At least for now, in the moment, you might not know like what other opportunities just by following that one little silly thing might lead to, but it's definitely something that to think about when many of us say, well, what is my purpose? But then we got all this stuff in our head that we never put out on some kind of outline, and we don't even take action on them. And then we say, what is my purpose? I don't know about you, but does that feel like an aha moment? Like, duh, why didn't I think of that before? It's clear here that we have to change, that we have to change the way that we function in our minds, in our awareness, in our intellect. We have to change. Yes, we're smart, we're so educated, but my grandma used to say, common sense is not something that can be taught. And so we have to make sure that we use our common sense. Help ourselves to be better, to do better, by working with the technology of our mind in a way that's compassionate and respectful. Be compassionate and respectful with your emotional mind, right? When you feel overwhelmed, don't ignore it. Don't tell yourself that you're lazy. Don't tell yourself that you should do better. How do you know you're not already doing better, except that you just keep adding stuff on, crossing the boundaries? Need to walk that stuff back, right? And then, hello. So, yes, this is respect. A lot of lessons have come up today. Okay, so now it's interesting. That card I pulled already from the bottom, the King of Cups. Mr. Calm, cool, and collected. Mr. Relaxed and focused. Right? No matter what kind of storms are coming, you can ride the wave. So if a wave is coming, are you gonna just are you gonna just ride it, surf it? So the waves that are coming are change. They are the waves of new beginnings, bringing endings to things that need to wash out of your life and wash it in something new into your life. So go with the changes. There's a quote, but it's on my phone. Oh, and I read it in a book, and it was so profound. And I have the book here. And I just saw the word court when I was saying that. I don't know if somebody has, but I'm trying to remember what card it was. The Jesus Christ card. It's just this deck I have, and I don't know if you have something in court, but you might be very afraid of this going through this process, but this is a part of the changes. Go with it. Don't fight it. They're going to be with you. Gosh, can I find this really quickly? I'm going to pause for a minute so that I don't waste our time here. Okay, so I did find it, and it's from this tarot deck I'm working with, the Serpentine Tarot. It's an incredible guidebook, and it uses the messages, meanings are given more based on the astrology, the decans, and this was the Jupiter in Capricorn, Two of Pentacles, and I think there's a phrase. Oops, sorry, I did it again. It says, the more we move in unison with change, the more fortunate we will be. I thought that was just so powerful. Ultimately, we will revel in the success of the coming changes if we understand that all things are transitory. The more we move in unison with change, the more fortunate we will be. So I just can't say it better than that. I mean, that spoke to me because, as I told you at the beginning, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. The thing, but it's so powerful. I've never heard that phrase in my life. And it just seems so fitting with the King of Cups here as well. Learn to move in unison with the changes in your life. And you'll be able to do that better when you find that balance. When things, they write that word compound again. It's almost like compound sentences, compound ideas, right? Don't use simple sentences, right? Make your life experiences simple. Go back to simplicity until you can find. It's not to say that your life can't be complex and fulfilling. It can be, but it can't be when it's not based on the foundation of your true desires. So go back, make things simple for yourself. Don't let yourself find that sweet spot. Don't try to, and I would say, don't try to make your life simple, but find the sweet spot. That'll tell you what's in perfect balance for you. Okay, that's the simplicity. When you find the sweet spot of understanding, that emotional feeling of connection, that yes, this is what makes me happy. This is what gives me peace. It takes away all that stuff that's going on inside. All right, so I apologize for the noise again, but I never edit because they have to come out in the truthful way that they do. So I send you lots of love, and I hope that this truth resonates with you and supports you in this week. Have a beautiful week, everyone, and God bless you.